Do you want me to do it instead?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, who are blessed for Luke?
You.
Huh?
You?
No.
I don't know.
Well, who does it say? The poor. Who are blessed for Matthew? Poor in spirit, right? Luke said, blessed are the poor. Matthew says, blessed are the poor in spirit. Look at verse 21 on the right. Blessed are you who are hungry. Now, Matthew, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Right? It looks like Luke is literally talking about people who are poor and hungry. Like you're homeless, right? I feel bad for you. When the kingdom of God comes, those of you who are poor now, those of you who are starving to death, you're going to be helped out when the kingdom comes. Matthew doesn't seem to be making it in a literal sense. He's like, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who are hungry for righteousness. Right? There's another change here, which tells us something about the emphases of each individual gospel author. So, if I have a question on the next test saying, explain why scholars have to try to find answers to the synoptic problem, you'd be able to explain what the problem is, what some of the possible solutions are. If I ask you, what's the synoptic problem and what are some of the solutions, do you think you could answer that question?
Do you think that there's more of a problem because in why they're so similar or why there are differences?
Say that again?
Like, do you think that there's more of a problem in asking why they're similar or why they're different?
It depends. Like if you're taking the devotional method, the differences are probably going to be more of a problem for you. Like, wait, if it's perfectly true, and who's Joseph's father? That could make you upset if you're taking the devotional approach. If you're taking the historical critical method, that's not necessarily a problem so much as something that's really interesting. Ooh, why would they have changed it to make this way or changed it to be that way? Like if you're taking the historical critical method, looking at the who baptized Jesus is interesting. It's not a problem. It's like, ooh, why might Mark and Matthew have changed that story? And what does that tell us about their motives? Right? For scholars, this is interesting stuff to study. If you're taking the devotional method, it's like, oh, wait, what do you mean? That probably doesn't answer your question, but...
I was just, it wasn't like it.
What do you think is more interesting, the similarities or the differences?
I don't know.
I think if you're trying to understand like what was uniquely important to Matthew, the differences shed more light on that. Like maybe Matthew wasn't really concerned with poverty as much as Luke was, because Luke seemed to be talking about literal poverty, and Matthew was talking about metaphorical poverty. If you're trying to understand the unique emphases, the differences shed a lot of light on that.
So do they know what the timeline was of when they were written? Like, was Luke definitely written after Matthew?
I mean, no, we do not know any dates for certain. We do have really, really good scholarly guesses. Scholarly guesses say that Mark was clearly the earliest. Almost everybody agrees that Mark is the earliest. It was written around 70. Matthew and Luke were probably written between 80 and 95. Which one was earlier? I don't know. I don't know that any scholars take any solid lines on whether or not Mark came before Luke, except those guys who support the Farrar hypothesis. Apart from those guys, I don't think people spend a lot of energy trying to figure out which of those two are earlier.